it's a big show.
Welcome to the Fade Route
It's a big bad show tonight.
with DNZ.
Yeah, it's a big show.
Here are your hosts,
Cracking up, telling them lies.
DNZ.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D, and we got a great show for you tonight. Yankee fans throw trash on the field. The NFL draft starts tomorrow, and Democratic Majority Leader Christopher Johnson joins us on the in route. But we'll begin today's show with the Brooklyn Nets. Even with all the officials' help, the Nets were not able to avoid the sweep as they fell to the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs in 4 games. Kyrie talked about signing an extension in the postgame. He feels he's going to be a Net for life. Him and Kevin have a lot of work to do. How him, Kevin, Joe, Mark, they'll find a way to do better next year. Z, where did the Nets go from here? Did I miss something? Did Kyrie become a member of management at some point?
Well, first place they go is home. So clean out your locker and take it on home. Well, this has been a long time coming, right? Because think back to the press conference when they brought in Steve Nash. We said it that day when these two clueless putzes, and yes, I lump Kevin Durant in with this, undercut their coach before he even has a practice by saying, now, of course, we want to say they don't mean it, but as it turned out, they kind of did. On some days, I'll be the coach. Some days, Kyrie will be the coach. Some days, we'll let Steve do his job. Isn't that nice? I'm gonna let the coach of the team coach the team. So the Brooklyn Nets, they have a lot of work to do. They have to re-sign plenty of their own players, in addition to possibly extending Kyrie. But frankly, this team is not a team. Let's be real here. It started out the season like the Eastern version of the Lakers, a collection of stars, not sure how it was going to work out. James Harden, it didn't happen. Now, the vaccine mandates and things of that nature definitely played against the Nets. But at the end of the day, that came down to choice. Kyrie Irving chose, based on however you feel about it, whatever it may be, it was still a choice. He chose not to get the vaccine. He chose to play the long game. Ultimately, it played in his favor, and the vaccine mandate was lifted. But by then, realistically, what chemistry do you have when you're only playing certain road games and then finally being allowed to get on the court? The Nets have a lot of work to do. The Nets need to build a team, and I don't know where they go from here. You can't really reload. You're strapped. You're not that deep. You have a coach that's probably going to get fired. I would argue that he's going to get fired. You invested in Ben Simmons, so you kind of have to choose him over the coach. Now, whether or not this works out long term and this becomes a continuous mental health hurdle for Ben Simmons and he never puts the Brooklyn Nets uniform on, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I think we really need to give the credit to the Celtics because they had the secret sauce, man. They really, Al Horford was in KD's face, Jason Tatum was in KD's face, Marcus Smart was playing great D. They spread it around. They made their shots when they needed to. And ultimately, they took it from the Nets. And Bruce Brown, of all people, you're kind of looking silly with the egg on your face, bro.
Well, I mean, they have talent. They have a lot of talent, and I'm not sure it's a matter of retooling that much, in that you need a coach to wrangle this talent. You need a formidable person that Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and company are going to play under. I mean, unfortunately, I think they need to fire Steve Nash. I mean, I wanted Steve to be the guy. I wanted this to work out. I thought that if there was one person that could help Ben Simmons, it would be Steve Nash, right? I mean, he was such a great point guard in his time that certainly he could teach or show Ben Simmons how to play that position in the NBA. So maybe it's a Frank Vogel. Maybe it's a Jay Wright. I mean, come on. Jay Wright can't coach the Nets. Jay Wright can't coach Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. I mean, Jay, if you're going to take a head coaching job, that seems to be a good one to take. They need a real coach. They need, then also the players need to want to be coached. I don't understand. Blake Griffin played 2 really good games. Why wasn't Blake Griffin playing more defensively? LaMarcus Aldridge is on your bench. Why? Why can't LaMarcus Aldridge play? He's excellent on that baseline jump shot, getting rebounds, running pick and roll. We're going to Claxton? Nick Claxton? Really? I mean, next, they need to trade Ben Simmons. Get draft picks. Get a player that wants to play. You know what? I was on the record saying last year that Baker Mayfield played his last game for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think Ben Simmons ever puts on a Nets uniform.
Wow.
I'm going out there and I'm saying it. I don't think he puts on a Nets uniform.
Wow. So, based on that, this was destined to fail. We have to kind of acknowledge that, because you're going from Philly. You know, Philly's a crucible. Like, we can agree on that one. Philly is out and out hostile to its own players. Now, if you win, you're a god. But if you lose, forget it. You're going to take that and you're going to go from Philly to Brooklyn, where the expectations are just as high, if not higher. Feasibly, where can you make this trade? Because ideally, you want to trade him to a place where he's going to feel comfortable. Like, where is that? And what are you fixing to get for him? Because you're going to want more than a ham sandwich.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, Brooklyn fans are not as, terrible or unforgiving as Philly fans are, right? We can agree that the Philly fan base is lethal. I mean,
yes.
I wouldn't even wear another team's jersey to any kind of game in Philly, whether that be a Phillies game, a 76ers game, and definitely not a Flyers game. Definitely not rocking a Rangers jersey to a Flyers game.
Nope.
So, where could he go? Okay, I mean, to me, he could go to the Kings. He could go to the Clippers. He could go to the Raptors. He could go to the Detroit Pistons. Like, he can go to somewhere and fall the Orlando Magic. Like, he can go to a place and just kind of be forgotten, kind of like that was it the Michael Bennett thing. Like, he could just fade away in time. I mean, if you're a team, let's say the Pelicans realize, man, Zion ain't gonna play for us. We could get a Ben Simmons to play down here, with a couple of draft picks. So I think there are people in this league that have hope that he will play. But I think he's ruined his reputation definitely in Philly. He's definitely ruined it in Brooklyn. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you had a chance to play with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and you decided not, even if it was in a limited role. I can't recall a time in history where a player of Ben Simmons' caliber, when I say his caliber, like top 5 pick, was unwilling to play hurt. or unwilling to even try. Like, it's not like he did the Willis Reed, came out there and it didn't work out. It was, nah, man, I'm not even stepping on the court. I'm not even putting the jersey on.
Well, I mean, Markelle Fultz for a while definitely was fitting that bill. I mean, he had the shoulder problems, and then he had to completely take it down, go back to the lab, and retool his shooting. And I'm not even, Ben Simmons definitely needs to go to a place where he's, he doesn't necessarily have to be the guy, and a place where it's a smaller market. And if he's able to, kind of lay in the weeds in a small market and kind of get his confidence back, get over the, clear these mental hurdles, these mental health issues that, possibly he can still salvage his career. Now, one thing, I just thought of one, and, you have great coaching, you have a great GM, you have a young up-and-coming player, maybe two. The San Antonio Spurs. Who's to say that he wouldn't flourish down in San Antonio? It's not Houston. It's not Dallas. It's not it's the third largest market. Yes, the San Antonio Spurs are legendary, but they're also in the middle of a rebuild. So that might allow him to kind of take a step back and just work on the fundamentals and kind of get through it. Because right now, I don't think a team that is upper echelon, I don't think they're going to make the move for him, because these were two upper echelon teams, and he didn't play at all this year. We love youth sports. Not only do they get the kids out and active, but they teach the necessary skills of teamwork, sportsmanship, and fair play. One organization that we are proud to partner with is Ossining AYSO Soccer. Their mission is to develop and deliver quality, player-centered youth soccer programs that promote a fun, fair, family environment where everyone is welcome and everyone plays. If you have a child between the ages of 4 and 18, registration for the fall 2022, spring 2023 season opens April 27th with an early bird special. Sign up before June 15th for only $175 per child. For more information, to sign up, or to volunteer as a coach or referee, go to ayso201.org today. The more volunteers, the more children can enjoy the youth soccer experience with Ossining AYSO. That's ayso201.org. More soccer for more kids. ayso201.org. Visa and MasterCard payments only.
There's definitely a market for him, but his old team finds themselves in a pretty good position. Joel Embiid and the 76ers have a 3-2 lead over the Raptors, but they did lose their last game by 15 points. Joel Embiid has a thumb injury. James Harden is playing like the James Harden who played for OKC, and their coach has a history of blowing 3-1 and 3-0 leads. Are the Sixers in trouble, Z?
It's hard to say they're not, right? I mean, just from past outcome. Now, yes, Doc Rivers has not blown a lead with this group. Okay, I'll give him that. But, blowout, close one, blowout in the other direction. It's hard to say that this series is not going 7. It's hard for me to believe that they're not doing it. They're not gonna play them close, because if you compare the two top scorers, right? Embiid, about 25 points with a hurt thumb. That is going to be a problem. That is going to be persistent throughout the playoffs if they even continue on. And that's not going to get better. You need to rest. That's how your thumb heals. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Pascal Siakam, you're looking at 23 points a game, but these teams are relatively evenly matched. Like 107 to 104 in terms of points average during the series. 22 assists, pretty much even. You're looking at rebounds. The rebounding edge is with Philly. I would hope so. I would certainly hope so with the guy they got in the middle. To me, the X factor is James Harden. If James Harden can be who they thought he was going to be when they traded for him, they will run the Raptors out of the gym. But James Harden does not look like that guy right now. And I was watching PTI today, and Kendrick Perkins was saying that he's lost a step, And, back injuries, hamstring injuries, age and carrying that extra weight. Because if you look at James Harden, he carries extra weight. He's top heavy. Sorry, dude, you're top heavy. That weighs on you. As somebody who used to be top heavy, I get it. It weighs on you. Your legs are not what they used to be. And as a basketball player, you need your legs. So, credit where credit's due to the Raptors. Are keeping this close. The Sixers are doing... The Sixers aren't doing enough to make it happen, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it goes 7 and the Raptors win.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of disagree with you. I think on paper and in reality, the Sixers are the better team. But I think the Raptors have the better coach. And Doc Rivers, as you know, I think is an awful coach. I don't think he has... everybody wants to give him credit because he drew up a play where Joel Embiid hit a three-pointer at the buzzer. Why is Joel Embiid taking three-point shots on the run? Nobody asked that question.
Now, excuse me, though. If you give me Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry, I'm going to get you more than one.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you at least one. Come on now.
So in the short term, answer is no. They're not in trouble. I think they will win this series. They'll be able to beat the Raptors, but I'm not sure if they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not sure they can get to the NBA. I'm not sure they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals with Joel Embiid's hurt thumb, and I don't think they can get to the NBA Finals with James Harden playing the way he's playing. You need these guys at the top of their game. That's what makes their team dynamic. And then the next challenge or the next thing we'd have to talk about is the offseason. I'm not sure James Harden gets that extension anymore, especially based on the way he's playing. You mentioned Kendrick Perkins said he may have lost a step. Well, that's not a guy that's signing a max deal to stay here. Right now he's averaging about 18 points a game. He's down about 6 points from his average. That's just not going to get it done. And he's passing up shots. He's not going to the basket. He can't shoot. He's not playing any defense. In Brooklyn, we thought it was that he was hurt or that he wanted out. Now he's playing with Joel Embiid, and it's just like, okay, what's the excuse now?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, James Harden is definitely a red flag, right? Because he bullied his way out of Houston. He bullied his way out of Brooklyn. And now he's playing his way out of Philly. He's going to get his money, but it's going to be something that it's very risky. It is a very, very risky proposition. Now, I would argue that the Raptors have an equally troubling injury on their side as Embiid is for the Sixers. You're looking at Fred VanVleet. VanVleet is one of their best players, if not their best player, and he has a hip injury. So if the Sixers can exploit that, they will be able to avoid a Game 7, and Doc Rivers might be able to, exercise the demons a little bit for one round. Long term, I agree with you. I don't see the Sixers making any noise whatsoever in the playoffs, especially now that Joel Embiid is hurt, because that would require James Harden to, put everybody on his back, and we've seen James Harden fold. Now, They have guys like Tyrese Maxey. They have Tobias Harris. They have Matthias Thibault. Paul Millsap is on this team. Once you get away from Toronto, Thibault's going to play a bigger role because he'll be available for every game. And Danny Green is on this team too. So you have some depth here. But this is the problem when you bring on a guy like James Harden, because he becomes the focal point. And I don't care what he says. There's pressure on him. Like, he may say there's no pressure, but sorry, James, you're lying to yourself. There's an immense amount of pressure on you. You forced this. You forced this move. Now you got to deliver. Does the Embiid injury hurt him? Absolutely it does. But great players overcome these kinds of setbacks.
Avoid messy accidents. Get better stopping power with your brake pads. Callahan brake pads. You never know when you'll be driving in the road and there will be a truck tire that you need to avoid and save your family. Callahan Auto. We really care about what's under your hood. That's right. And as we speak, the Bucks are pulling away from the Bulls without Chris Middleton. It looks like this series is going to be a wrap. The Suns pulled ahead of the Pelicans without Devin Booker, which is pretty impressive. But can the Suns finish off the Pelicans in 6 games, or are we looking at a 7-game death match?
Well, it depends. Is Adam Silver going to suspend Chris Paul for kicking Jose Alvarado in the dick? Because that's what he did. He looks like the Eddie Van Halen Funko I got for my girl's son for Christmas. We ordered it together, but we sorry, babe. But it's literally Eddie Van Halen playing his guitar and he's kicking like he does. Except in this instance, Chris Paul shooting and the leg is right in Alvarado's crotch. It's like you expect like walnuts to come out of his mouth. Like it's terrible. Now, I know that you are not a Chris Paul guy. I know your opinion of him, he's the dirtiest player in the NBA.
That's right.
He's got to get suspended. He's got to, right?
Hey.
You kick a guy in the dick, like, you're going to get suspended. You should get suspended. Now, that leaves DeAndre Ayton alone. DeAndre Ayton and this team, like, that's not good enough. Like that, you lose Booker, you lose Paul, you lose your shot. So the Pelicans definitely, kudos to McCollum, kudos to those guys. They're making it hard. They're being a hard out, as they should be. And it would be an embarrassment to the Suns if they get bounced in the first round by an 8 seed without allegedly its best player. Well, it's hard to tell because the guy never plays. But I gotta say that the Pelicans, they got a shot. They have a shot. Especially if Adam Silver mans up and does what he should do.
No, he won't. And that's the problem. Well, that's the problem. It's like Chris Paul, this isn't the only thing he's been doing. Anybody watching the series sees how he's going at other guys, like throwing his, like Herb Jones, running at Herb Jones and trying to knock him down. And then Herb Jones comes right back and knocks Chris Paul to the floor. And now you see that he kicks Alvarado. He clearly is trying to kick him. Like, nobody wants to acknowledge how dirty of a player Chris is. And that's why I don't think Chris Paul will ever win a championship or will ever be successful. Because that's the kind of person he is. I still think the Pelicans are going to take this series. I do. The Suns benefited from Mikal Bridges catching fire last game, and I'm not sure that's going to keep happening. In the short term, the Bucks, as we can see, the Bucks are taking care of the Bulls, but I don't even know if home court. The only thing it might save the Suns is home court advantage. But I mean, Evan Ingram is playing on a different level right now. Imagine if Zion was playing. Unbelievable. But bravo to the Pelicans for going toe-to-toe with these guys. But the only reason why this is a series is because the Suns don't have their best player. And this is the kind of stuff we talked about earlier. It's like, what good is it if the Suns go out this round because their best player got hurt? Could we honestly say the best team won the championship this year? And I don't know if you could honestly say that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's sports. You have to contend with issues. Think about the Game 7 where Chris Paul went out with the hamstring injury. He wasn't there. So
Sucks, though.
yeah, but that was his best shot. That was his best shot with the Rockets.
But there's such a focus, I feel like, now in sports for us to get the plays right? We have all this replay, we have all these rules. Everything is so that we get the plays right. But are we doing everything to make sure that we have the best product? Are we doing everything we can to make sure, like, the best team wins? Like, why is the first round a 7-game series? Like, this should be a 5-game series. Like, how much do I... Like, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying watching the Grizzlies play. I mean, their series with the Timberwolves is fantastic. But, I mean, what? The odds are is the Grizzlies are going to take the series, right? And if the Grizzlies didn't take the series, why didn't they take it? Because probably Ja Morant got hurt, right?
Yeah.
I would assume Dallas would win their series. Oh, and except if Luka got hurt. Well, shocker, it was 2-2 until Luka came back, and now... the Jazz don't have a chance. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. I want to see the best teams move on. I want to see the best players play. And when you set your format like this come on, it's April. They're still doing the first round of the playoffs in April. The playoffs don't end until like June. That's 2 months of playoffs. Like, come on. I mean, listen, I love basketball, but that's just ridiculous. Just think about Devin Booker's supposed to be out 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. He might still come back this series.
Right. I mean, that's a total panic move, though. Like, on a hamstring, like, that is setting yourself up for a really bad tear, surgery, and a really long rehab.
Right, but if this was a 5-game series, it'd be over. And they'd be able to rest because now they got to wait for their next opponent. So now you get a rested Devin Booker going into the second round against a team that, that deserves to be in the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Pelicans finished under 500. I think they finished like 10 games under 500, something stupid like that. Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see a team under 500 knock out the 1 seed. Is that really what the NBA wants? We want the Pelicans to move on over the Suns?
Well, the Clippers had the chance to handle their business, but they didn't even do that. So it was supposed...
The playing games are garbage, too.
Do you love brownies? Of course you love brownies. But you know what's better than a brownie? A delicious, handcrafted, gourmet brownie delivered right to your doorstep. That's what our guys at Sweet Life Brownie Co. offer. Chef Tommy D and the crew offer a dozen delicious delights that you will crave, from the classic OB to Dutch apple to campfire s'mores and many more. Check out their website, sweetlifebrownieco.com, for their Friday brownie drops. At noon, their site goes live and you see what they're making. Since you're there, become a site member and earn points. You earn 50 points just by signing up. Make sure you follow on Instagram and Facebook too, at sweetlifebrownie_co, for the latest updates and their latest releases and creations. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com. Give them a call, 845-641-3043, and tell them D&Z sent you. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com, 845-641-3043. Sweet Life Brownie Co., because there's always room for a brownie.
But, sticking with the West, the return of Doncic has helped the Mavs, take a 3-1 series lead on the Jazz. And Ja Morant has helped the Grizz take a 3-2 series lead. Which player is more important to their team, Ja or Doncic? Tough
Like
one, right?
that's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one. I mean, Luke, congratulations to John Moran. He was voted the most improved player, which is crazy to me.
I misspoke. Dallas leads the series 3-2, so it's not 3-1, it's 3-2.
But if you look at that team, if you look at the way that the Dallas Mavericks are constructed, it's again designed to be built around a star player. You know, it's designed to be Luka's team. I mean, Jalen Brunson's playing out of his mind right now, and kudos to Jalen Brunson for doing so. But
let's be real. The offense is designed around the point guard, which most of the time is Luka. That's why I believe it was in games 2 and 3, Brunson had like 40 points because he was Luka for that series. He was Luka for those games.
right, but in terms of apples to apples talent comparison, Jalen Brunson is not Luka Doncic.
No, never will be.
No, absolutely not. If you're looking at Davis Bertans, you're looking at Trey Burke, Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie is probably like
he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He's the second best player on this team.
He's so good.
Brandon Knight, Frank Ntilikina. Frank Ntilikina made the playoffs. Look at that. Good job, Frank. Reggie Bullock, another Knicks cast-off. Like, that team has no business. No business. None. And Donovan Mitchell injury is only going to make it easier. Because Mitchell and Gobert, they just don't play well together. Mitchell only had 9 points when he exited the game. Conley's been a waste. Rudy Gobert, you're looking at Rudy Gobert as your best scorer, and Jordan Clarkson off the bench. Jordan Clarkson had 20 off the bench. There you go. There's your best scorer. Like, Rudy Gay didn't even play. Like, he was a DNP. Like, I don't know what you expect here if you're the Utah Jazz. You cannot expect anything good out of this. And, let's go back to this for a second. I know we were talking about the Chris Paul thing before, but if Hassan Whiteside did what Chris Paul did, how many games is he getting?
Oh, he's getting 4 games.
Right? Hassan Whiteside got a double tech and got kicked out of the game, is probably going to get suspended for going in hard and just standing over somebody and apologizing. He apologized and got kicked out of the game. Double techs. So he went in on Luka. He didn't. It wasn't that bad. He went in on Luka, and I think that's really what drove it home. But the Jazz are a mess right now, and I think that it's important that the Mavs really need to make sure that Luka is healthy for this. So rest him as much as possible. You really don't want that calf flaring up. I mean, another team that's you're looking at Karl Anthony Towns, another guy for the Wolves, right? Like, they're staying alive in their series, and how critical is that right now? Is it more Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards? Like, who is more important to that team? Who makes that team go? Is it Cat or is it Goose?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Cat because he needs to be dominant, and when he's dominant, they typically don't lose. Like, if he's grabbing rebounds, hitting 3-pointers, playing defense, they don't lose. I think all the teams have shown some grit, and I would say that the Grizzlies and the Mavericks have shown that they could win without their best player. The Grizzlies were 20-5 without Ja during the regular season. The Mavs won 2 games without Doncic in this series. I don't think either team is going far without their superstar, but I think the Grizzlies have enough talent to make up ground lost by Ja, similar to, I think, the Timberwolves. They could get by without Edwards, but they're not getting by without Cat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it gives me a little bit of pause because Karl Anthony Towns was a part of some dreadfully awful Wolves teams until Anthony Edwards got there. So I think he definitely stirs the drink a little bit. He definitely gets people off of Cat, which is nice. But I mean, the unsung hero here is Desmond Bane.
Oh yeah,
Desmond Bane is a beast, and he's the guy. He's the fallback. Well, he's the option. Forget the fallback option right now, because Ja Morant, Ja is doing Ja things, but Desmond Bane was the guy that was keeping them afloat while Ja wasn't there. So I think they can definitely do good things, and I don't know if they can just they can possibly make a long run, because if the Suns bow out, that kind of changes everything. Because now the highest seed remaining is the friggin' Memphis Grizzlies. It's wide open.
There's just so much inconsistency in that series. It's like people are getting blown out, then people lose big leads, then stars don't show up. There's just those two teams, the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves, are just too inconsistent to really, I think, make a strong run in the playoffs this year. Are you in need of air care maintenance or service? I have the company for you. Air Care Technicians. They service the Westchester and Northern Bronx area and can help you with all your heating and cooling, maintenance, and service needs. Just give them a call at 914-315-1547. Again, that's 914-315-1547. Or shoot them an email at aircaretechnicians@gmail.com. These guys are the real deal, as they are veteran-owned, licensed, and insured. Make sure to tell them that D&Z sent you. But switching gears to baseball, Yankee fans were in fine form over the weekend. Before rallying to beat the Guardians in late innings, the fans in the outfield began to throw trash onto the field, prompting Guardians players to climb the fence to confront the fans. Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge also attempted to calm the fans down, but the situation was already out of control. Guardians outfielder Straw called the Yankees fan base the worst on the planet. Z, as a former Yankee fan, do you agree with this?
I actually don't. I don't think that Yankee fans are the worst, because of the Philadelphia Phillies. As long as the Philadelphia Phillies exist, the Yankee fans will never be the worst in baseball. Absolutely not. But it was very classless. If anyone has seen the John Boy video out there, I highly recommend you watch it. Certain Yankee fans are cheering that Stephen Kwan hurt himself after he ran into the wall. And then fans were confronted by Oscar Mercado and Miles Straw. Mercado was trying to just kind of, nudge the Yankee fans, saying, be classy, don't root for injuries, and, don't try and win that way. One of the fans pulls out the old upside down diamond on them. So, what that means. The diamond upside down is a what? Yes, exactly. So then Miles Straw pulls his best Spider-Man, and even got jeered the next day for that. They called him Peter Parker. The bleacher creatures were chanting Peter Parker at him. You never want to be classless in victory, and that was not indicative of all Yankee fans. Not all Yankee fans are as classless as this particular group of Yankee fans who were antagonizing them. But if I'm gonna rank them, Phillies number one, and I gotta go with Giants and Dodger fans when they play each other. Cause to the best of my knowledge,
Cowboy fans are pretty bad. But
they're pretty brutal too. But Giants and Dodgers fans, you may get beaten to death in the parking lot.
I have a story to share one day about a Dodger fan, but I'm not gonna let this one situation dictate how I feel about a fan base. The truth is, every fan base has an ugly side. I think in this situation, Yankee fans love to throw the 27 rings in the face of people, and they love talking shit about other fan bases, like the Phillies, the Red Sox, even the Mets. But this is the same fan base that threw batteries at players back in the 90s. Like, don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house. So now, I don't want to hear any Yankee fans talking trash about Red Sox fans. I don't want to hear any Yankee fans talking shit about Phillies fans. Now it's you guys are on even ground. What happened over the weekend was classless, to the point where you had Yankee players coming out there to calm it down, which is unreal. You got a Cleveland player climbing a fence telling people to come at me, bro, and hit me, bro. It's like, come on, what is it, the jungle? Like, come on. And the bleachers are treacherous. I mean, I try not to sit out there. I've sat out there a couple of times, and it is. You got to be careful what you say. You got to be careful what you wear. You got to make sure if somebody orders food, you got to pass it down and do it quickly. I mean, there are some terrible fan stories out there, but I wouldn't let this dictate, what I feel about a fan base.
No, definitely not. But I mean, it definitely, if we scale it back to even as far as the LeBron James incident in Atlanta, like, these things are definitely piling up more, and they're getting more intense as fans are starting to reacclimate themselves to going back to sporting events in a post-COVID world or concurrent COVID world. And for a while there, we were doing okay. We had avoided major issues, but how close are we to reverting back to a Malice at the Palace situation?
No, I mean, that situation was kind of dicey. I mean, you get a player climbing the fence, and I happen to be a fan of Straw, but you're taking a chance, dude. Like, that's not what you really want to do. I think you think you're tough, and I'm pretty sure you are, but you don't know what you're going up against up there. Like, you don't do that. That you don't do. I don't condone that. I don't condone players going out to fans. I don't condone players, heckling back, jeering back at fans, especially if you're playing outfield and you got to turn your back.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't. As far as the LeBron James situation, a little differently. There was words going back and forth. She was drunk. He was drunk. Whatever. These guys were throwing garbage on the field, man.
Yeah, but
how much of
this was fueled by alcohol? We don't know.
Yeah.
So a lot of the issues come from that as well.
True. But we buried the big story because today is the day before the official start, really, of the 2022 NFL season, as this is the night before the draft. And Z, Baker Mayfield is still a Brown. Do you expect Baker Mayfield to be traded before Saturday? And will he be the steal of the draft, as your good friend Dan Orlovsky suggests?
Oh, Dan Orlovsky. Like, this dude loves him some Baker Mayfield. I just... Oh, Dan. Will he get traded? I'm going to say, if we were doing bullshit or no shit, I'm going to say bullshit that Baker Mayfield gets traded at this point. I think he's going to end up being a salary cap casualty, but I just don't see it. I don't see teams ponying up a draft pick for Baker Mayfield at this point when he has to do a little bit of rehab. And frankly, I don't think the Browns should trade him anyway, because the Deshaun Watson situation is not resolved. And is it a little, is he a little butthurt? Most likely. And rightfully so. The most success this franchise has had since it came back into the league is when this guy was the quarterback. So, I would definitely be a little upset if I was him. And frankly, I don't see him moving. I really don't see him moving at all. And I think Dan Orlovsky is way off base, as per usual.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only thing I will agree with Dan is that if you're a team like the Saints or the Panthers or the Giants or Seattle or even the Commanders, and you're contemplating drafting a quarterback in this draft, and the guy you want gets drafted, I think you have to seriously consider about trading a draft pick and a player for Baker Mayfield, because at the end of the day, he is still a number one overall pick, okay? He did win games in Cleveland. He did lead them to the playoffs, and he was probably a quarter or two away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He has talent. Like I said, I always defend him in saying he's a guy that he overcomes the odds. He did it in college. He did it in the pros. The knock on Baker Mayfield is arm strength, speed, height, and his ability to stay healthy. Now, I think the problem a lot of teams have is they say, okay, if you're Carolina, like, okay, if we do trade for Baker Mayfield and he plays exceptionally well, now what do we do?
Right.
Because now we're going to be kind of in a situation where he won 10 games for us. He made the playoffs. Or he won 11 games for us. Or he was comeback player of the year. And now it's like, well, we could sign him to a contract extension that's going to cost us a lot of money. Or we can go and hit the draft. But now, because he played so well, we don't have a top 10 pick. So now we're not getting probably the best quarterback in this draft. We're going to get a quarterback, but he's not necessarily the guy we want. Which is why I think for a team like Seattle, you could say, you know what, I really want Cody Pickett. And if the Panthers take Cody Pickett, all right, in the 4th round or the 5th round or later on in the draft, we're going to call the Browns. And we're going to offer them garbage for him and see if they'll give it to us. Because at the end of the day, they're going to have to cut him. So it's either you're going to take my garbage pick that I have, or you're going to wind up having to eat him and pay him.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the situation where they're in. But you also have certain situations, like you mentioned, the Giants. The Giants have a question mark at quarterback as it is. Now, do you pick up Daniel Jones' 5th-year option, and now you're going to bring in Baker Mayfield? Like, I don't know. That just creates more confusion to me. Now, if it's a low risk, I gotta say, it depends on what I'm being offered.
Listen,
like,
it's a terrible comparison, but I just think back to when, the San Diego Chargers drafted Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
They had Drew Brees, and Drew Brees wasn't playing well. Drew Brees wasn't playing the way they thought Drew Brees was going to play. So we're going to go out and get Phillip Rivers because we know he can play. Then what happens? Drew Brees has a resurgence, leads the team to a 14-2 season, and then he gets hurt. And it's like, well, all right, Drew, thanks, but we're going to go with Phillip, and you can go sign with the Dolphins. I think you talked about, you were going to go to the Saints and wind up having a Hall of Fame career. I only say the Giants because if the Giants are thinking about drafting a quarterback late, and that guy gets taken, why not take the flyer on Baker, who was a 1st overall pick, who was possibly on your draft board back when you decided to go with Saquon Barkley that year, right?
Yeah.
Because Baker got taken. But if he was a guy that was high on your draft board back then, and you also have a good coach in place that could maybe develop him if the whole Daniel Jones thing doesn't work out. And why not push Daniel Jones? Is that so bad? Is it so bad to bring someone in to push him? He should welcome the challenge for the way he's played.
No, there's nothing wrong with pushing Daniel Jones. I think that it's a very rich question mark is all. Because, right now he's only on his 5th-year option, right? So it's not like you're going to pay the man. It's like at this point, I've seen what I've seen from him, and I'm not impressed.
I'm tired of watching it. I don't want to watch it anymore.
I'm frankly tired of it. Yes, I'm frankly tired of it.
I can't get through a quarter without wanting to throw up in a garbage bag.
Right.
I purposely start the game in the 4th quarter hoping he's out of the game.
And when you're banking on the Giants signing a competent backup quarterback, like if that's what you're hoping for, then that's an issue. And do we really want to reunite the Cleveland Browns quarterback room from a couple seasons ago? I mean, maybe that's just me, because you have Tyrod Taylor there as well as the backup. So let's really hammer home the fact that the Giants and the Cleveland Browns aren't that far removed from each other. And then have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, so you can have Baker Mayfield, the number 1 pick, handing off to the number 2 pick from that draft. That seems a little surreal to me, but I don't know if it just seems like a little bit of a stretch. And the best fits for Baker would probably be a team like Houston, right? Houston doesn't have a quarterback. They have Davis Mills. Okay, that's fine. If you may believe in Davis Mills, Lovie Smith may not. So I think that would be a fine addition for them. Seattle, if I'm Baker, I wouldn't want to go there. They couldn't protect Russ. They're not going to be able to protect me. That's just kind of the way it is out in Seattle.
I just think with Baker right now, he's got to just want to play.
Yeah.
He can't be picky about where you're playing right now. You got to go where you're going to be able to put some film together.
True, but that could still very well be Cleveland. He just needs to be able to get over himself, because the Deshaun Watson thing is not settled, regardless of what we may think. That is, Adam Schefter can tweet that he's vindicated all you want, but it could very well be that this is going to get very awkward very fast when he doesn't get released, he doesn't get traded, and now he gets the ball. And honestly, that could be the best thing that happens to Baker, because how much more of a chip on your shoulder do you need, right? It's like, oh, now you need me? Oh, now you want me? I'm gonna raise my value so much, and then I'm gonna stick it to you on the way out. That would be some poetic justice for one Mr. Baker Mayfield.
Is your hair thinning or is your hairline receding? Scalp micropigmentation will fill in the areas where your hair is missing by creating a short buzz cut look. Micropigmentation is a non-invasive procedure that will create the illusion of hair follicles for 7 to 10 years. For people with alopecia, this could be a permanent fix. For people with scars on their scalp, this is a great way to camouflage a scar. Don't lose confidence or feel like you need to wear a hat wherever you go. Marquez Studio is located in the Bronx and is open for all your scalp micropigmentation needs. Consultations are free and appointments can be made any day of the week. Get your hairline back with scalp micropigmentation. The techs at Marquez Studio have over 30 years of hair cutting experience and can assist you with all of your questions. Call to schedule a consultation today, 646-221-8728. You can also visit them on Instagram at Bronx Marquez to see their gallery and view all their satisfied customers. Again, that is Marquez Studio, located in the Bronx, New York, 646-221-8728.
It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? You know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on Fade Route Podcast on IG, or hit that Twitter, FadeRouteDNZ.
Joining us on the In Route today, we have County Legislator and Democratic Majority Leader Christopher Johnson. Christopher Johnson, thanks for coming on the show today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Good to be back with you guys.
All right, we're going to start you off local. Nets losing to the Celtics in 4 games. What do you think went wrong with the season, and what do you think went wrong with the series?
Well, the first thing is you call the Nets local. I mean, who cares? Brooklyn. Right? So, Knicks fans till I die every single year, right? But, they just didn't have it together after, Kyrie played, maybe 30 games this year? It was, it just, with all the COVID protocols, they weren't a team. And the Celtics shut KD down. I mean, there was just no coming back from. He hadn't seen defense like that, and who knows, probably in his career. And it was over for them. They couldn't handle it. Too much ISO ball. They got to work together better as a team.
Yeah, they certainly muscled him off of his spot. They took up his space and really didn't let him get going. But if you were forced to decide on keeping Ben Simmons or keeping Steve Nash, who would you prefer to keep?
Okay. Run and gun, Suns, 2-time MVP, or I'm not going to take a layup. That's what you're asking me?
That's what I'm asking
look,
you.
Steve Nash isn't proven to be a great coach, but Ben Simmons, he scored as many points as I did this season.
He sure did. He played as many games as you did too.
That's right. He got paid much more than I did.
Significantly more.
Yeah, so I think they should take me and Steve Nash.
I like it. I think they got a chance there, especially if they can see how you can box out.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, despite fouling out in the fourth quarter last night, Jason Tatum seemed to ascend to another level in this series. He also covered Kevin Durant one-on-one for large portions of the game. If you were starting a basketball team, how many players would you choose before taking Jason Tatum?
So this was really hard, right? Because Jason Tatum has never been on my list, but I'm like, dag, like you got to take Steph above him,
Okay.
Giannis. I'm putting Joel Embiid in front of him.
Okay.
But then I'm stuck, right? Then it's like him and KD, because he shut KD down. So you got to be like, well, can I take him or KD? And then like Nikola Jokic, like and Luka. I think that's the next bunch. And based on LeBron's age, that's the only reason he's not there. Because I'm like, if I'm starting a team with this guy's going to be around 3 years, maybe I need somebody who's going to be around, the better part of 10 years. So I think he's number 4 or 5. Like,
Isn't that really wild?
I never would have thought. I'm like, this guy he's whatever. But this series, I'm sad for him that it's not a contract year, because dude he just got paid. Like, he was like, what?
And you got a bunch of tree trunks on your team. I don't think there's anybody under 6'7" on your squad. But it was just we've talked about this on the show. I'm a big Tatum fan. To me, and you can laugh all you want, he to me is more Kobe-like than anyone I've seen in a long time. And he's not Kobe yet, but he has the tools, right? He's got the length, he's got the shot, he's got the fadeaway. I don't know if he has that killer instinct.
Right.
He definitely passes more than Kobe. He's definitely more of a team player. He plays solid defense. To me, he has the ability to ascend to that level.
Well, he's passed the ball once. He's more of a passer than Kobe.
Yeah. Seriously.
That was an assist. Don't hate on him.
So we're going to move over to the West. You already name-checked Luka Doncic, so let's get right into that. A lot of teams have been playing without one of their star players. Luka's just coming back into the mix with the Mavs. You're looking at the Nuggets. They're without Jamal Murray. The Bucks are playing without Chris Middleton. The Suns are playing without Devin Booker. Which team has impressed you the most? Who are you most proud of?
So I will give the Mavs a lot of credit, right? I didn't think they could win a game without Luka. It's basically they should change the name of the team right now to the Lukas because who else? Like it's crazy. The Nuggets, I give them a lot of credit. They're probably a contender with Murray and who else is out? They got another they got two big names out. But so they're probably a contender, but right now they're nothing. You know, the Bucks though, without Middleton, and I know he's not their number one, he's the number two guy, but like they're still a contender without Middleton. So like that puts them in the answer. And then you know the Suns without Booker, like they can't win a championship without Booker. So I guess like I'm most impressed by the Bucks.
Michael Porter Jr. That's the other guy there.
Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, for the Nuggets. But like I guess I gotta say the Bucks because they're the only one of the four who can actually win a championship without their guy. The Nuggets won't even win a series. The Mavs and the Suns will win one. Suns might win two, but like the Bucks can actually still contend for a championship without Middleton.
No, definitely. I mean, they definitely get some performances. You know, Drew Holiday, you get Lopez. You definitely, you know,
Yeah,
they get some sneaky performances. Connaughton can do the job from time to time. So, you know, injuries are a problem, and it's constantly happening. You know, despite the long season, days off, load management, rest, limited back-to-backs, you name it, NBA teams are still losing their players when it matters most. So what can the NBA do to make sure that their product is better and their stars are actually there when they need them to be?
You know, this is a tough question, right? I think it's going to come down to the CBA. They got to put something in it to make sure, one, that players are playing. And like then I don't know what you do to keep people healthy, right? But they got to make sure that, you know, everybody wants to play when they come to the Garden. So, you know, the Garden's always full. If you could play, you play. But if you're going to Utah, like, I might take this night off. Like, why are you playing? And so we get a lot of that. But then when you get to the end of the season and people trying to really play in the playoffs and there's injuries, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's got to be in the CBA. There's got to be something that requires them to play during the regular season. You know, people like Anthony Davis just aren't in shape throughout the season. When the season comes, he's not ready to play on a consistent basis, and then you see injuries. So there's got to be part. Some of it is just the players got to be ready. Some of it's in the CBA, but there's still another piece, and that's why the commissioner gets the big bucks, and I just sit over here.
The same commissioner was also considering incentivizing players and teams to play their players. So, what are your thoughts on that? I thought that's what the money was for.
I thought that was a paycheck.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought the contract was, right? If you play, you get paid, kind of thing.
No, but Ben Simmons proved that to be wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know, man. I don't know because they did file he's filing a grievance because the Sixers did kind of they docked him. So we'll see what comes out of that. But we'll get you out of here on this one. After all is said and done and all the smoke is cleared, which four teams will be left standing at the end, and which team will ultimately lift the Larry O'Brien Trophy?
So I've got Philly and the Bucks are gonna play in the next round. So I'm gonna have to go with Miami and Philly. I think Philly may pull it out just as long as they can stay healthy and James Harden shows us who he really is. And I got the Warriors defeating the Suns just because Steve Kerr, what he's doing, he's showing that coaching matters right now. Yeah. He's his best player, one of the greatest players, the greatest shooter of all time, coming off the bench. Like, it's crazy. and they're running through it, and it's amazing to watch. I got the Warriors over Philly in 6. And of all time, Steph Curry MVP.
There you go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Johnson, we understand you have a big redistricting meeting tonight, so maybe you can shed a little light on that for us?
No, right. We talked about picking players earlier, in the redistricting conversation. We want to make sure that politicians are not picking their voters, but we're actually drawing lines that make sure that all of the districts match and that they're equally balanced. Every 10 years after the census is done, when population shift, we have to draw new lines. So we're in that process right now, just trying to make sure that the blue team and the red team, as they go against each other, it's fair and balanced.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate your fair and balanced take on this show. Chris Johnson, Yonkers Assemblyman, thank you for joining us, brother. We look forward to hearing you again soon. If you want to join us on the in route, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in those DMs on IG, Fade Route Podcast. Hit us up on Twitter, and you can be the newest member of the in route. Thanks a lot, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me again, guys. Can't wait to be back.
You can't help but smile when you see a balloon. The simplest occasion is a party. Westchester Pop Stars, located in New Rochelle, New York, offers balloon styling and decor for all life's events. Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, showers, school and corporate events, store openings, or just because. Westchester Pop Stars takes balloons and shapes them into works of art, creating decorative installations for your special occasions. No event is too big or too small, and their custom personalization service is top-notch. Westchester Pop Stars is a private studio, quickly expanding. In-person consultation is by appointment only. Send an email to westchesterpopstars@gmail.com for more information or to schedule an appointment. No need to hire an event stylist. All you need is balloons. Currently servicing Westchester, Putnam, New York City, and Connecticut. To find Westchester Pop Stars, search for them on Instagram, Facebook, or Google.
The Fade Store presents the Alleged Superstar of the Week Award. All right, boys and girls, it is time for the Alleged Superstar of the Week. You know how it goes. We put up a poll after the show on our Twitter account at FadeRouteDNZ, and you vote. And you vote, and you vote, and you vote. And the winner of said vote gets announced on this here program. And do you know who took home the ass for last week, D?
I don't.
One Mr. Owen Woodward. Kid, you are never going to live down tackling the guy who hit you, who took you deep, took you yard, and then chirped a little bit. You're never going to live that down. I still don't know if you've been expelled yet, but I know you've been kicked off the team, so I hope it was worth it, buddy, because you lost a lot in this regard. But that was last week. This is this week. Who you got, D?
I got 4 this week.
4?
So first up, I've got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Swept from the playoffs by the Boston Celtics. Kevin Durant, you're supposed to be the best player in the league. Mr. You know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving, you're supposed to be one of the best point guards in the game or in the league. You can't even win one game of the Boston Celtics. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, you are my alleged superstars of the week. Next up, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. 3-2 to Dallas. The team didn't even have Luka Doncic for the first few games. Do better, guys. Just do better. Number 3, my fantasy catcher, Yasmani Grandal. Batting 152 with 3 extra base hits, 1 run, and 1 RBI since the start of the season. Dude! You're supposed to be one of the best catchers in the league. What is that garbage? Number 4, Anthony Edwards. At the end of the game, your job is to stop Ja Morant. You go for the steal on the out-of-bounds play, which leads to the layup, which puts your team down 3-2. Anthony Edwards, you are my alleged superstar of the week. What do you got, Z?
All fine choices. I have 3 from baseball and 1 from basketball. I'm going to start with Garrett Cole. A return.
Love this guy.
Had a wonderful game. but that was overshadowed because somebody noticed you had a little something on your pants there, buddy, that you kept going to. It was like right under your right ass cheek, and it was like very conspicuous that you were like rubbing on that.
It was textured. It was a little textured.
It was a little, I don't know. Spider Tack got outlawed, and you're looking for any advantage. I mean, I guess that would qualify. But Garrett Cole, if you're gonna cheat, at least be a little bit more clandestine about it. Be a little more subtle. Garrett Cole, you are my alleged superstar of the week. By extension, Yankee fans, specifically the Yankee fans in the bleachers, for cheering when Cleveland's Steven Kwan was shaken up after hitting the wall, and then throwing debris on the field after the Yankees' walk-off win against the Guardians. You're supposed to be better than that. You're the Yankees. Just do better. Just do better. Tim Anderson. Apparently, the Kyrie Irving flu somehow went from Brooklyn and Boston all the way to Chicago and Cleveland because he flipped off Cleveland fans after they got on him a little bit for making three errors in the first 2 innings of the opening game of a doubleheader. Anderson did apologize, but still, you didn't need to apologize if you just didn't flip him the bird. Tim Anderson, you are my alleged superstar of the week. And then last but not least, one Mr. Chris Paul for kicking Pelicans guard Jose Alvarado in the Alvaraditos on his follow-through. Certainly living up to your reputation for questionable to outright dirty play. Chris Paul, you are my alleged superstar of the week. Those are our nominees, ladies and gentlemen. The poll is going up shortly. And for our nominees, just do better, boys. Just do better. Your favorite podcast has its own merch line now. Go to the Fade store with DNZ.com today for all your Fade Route merch needs. I'm talking tank tops, t-shirts, sweatshirts, like yoga pants, we got those too. Like some cool accessories, we got those too. And we're not done yet. We have so much more planned for you, but check out what we have today at the Fade store with DNZ.com. That's the Fade store with DNZ.com. Order up! All right, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It is time for us to order up.
Order up, order up.
And this is a very special order up because, as you know, tomorrow night is the NFL Draft. It is the first round of the NFL Draft, and we are going on the clock to give you our mock top 5. And here we go from 1 to 5. Who you got, D?
With the first selection in the first round, the Jacksonville Jaguars take Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle, NC State. They got to protect Trevor Lawrence. With the number 2 pick in the NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions take Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, edge rusher, Michigan. Best defensive player available. With the number 3 pick, the Houston Texans take Sauce Gardner, stealing them from the Jets. Cornerback, Cincinnati. Lovie Smith is a defensive guy. I can see him going defense here. The number 4 pick in the NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama.
No!
Gotta protect Zach Wilson before they take a wide receiver at 10. And number 5, the New York Giants select Charles Cross from Mississippi State, offensive tackle. Giants take the best lineman available before taking a defensive player. Z, how's yours look?
A lot of difference, which is fine by me. With the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. Definitely need a pass rush. They brought in Foley Fatukasi, but it's not enough. And he is going to be probably one of the, if not the most talented pass rushers coming out of college. Now, this is going to get tricky. There's a trade. I have a trade. The Detroit Lions trade back from number 2 with the New York Giants, and the New York Giants select Evan Neal out of Alabama. You want to get the best offensive tackle? I give you the best offensive tackle available. They will need to jump Houston because Houston also needs offensive tackle help. And because the Giants jump Houston to take Evan Neal, the Houston Texans take Ike Ekwonu from NC State. Second best, 1-1A possibly. Possibly their fallback plan in case something like that happens. Evan Neal could very possibly go number 1 because you can always use some extra help protecting your quarterback. So, I believe that Houston will end up taking Ike Ekwonu, which means at number 4, Sauce Gardner falls to the Jets. They need a corner. Best corner available. Why not Sauce Gardner at that point in the draft? And that leaves you with the Lions at number 5. Now, the Lions can go many ways, and the Lions do lion things. But I think they will take Kayvon Thibodeau of Oregon.
The Lions do Lions things. That's great.
It is possible that the Lions do something absolutely crazy, like when the Raiders took Cleveland Farrell, and everybody was like, "Who? What? Why? Why did this happen? Are you kidding me right now?" But I can definitely see that happening. The Giants want to get the best offensive tackle available, switch it up with the Lions, and go from there. But I'd say that those are pretty safe bets. Those are all top-tier talents and no quarterbacks to be seen. Probably anywhere close to that top 5.
This has been the Fade Route with D and Z. Thanks for tuning in tonight. You catch our podcast on Wednesday nights on Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time, stay faded, everyone.
It's time for us to run the go route, but we'll talk to you next week.
Enjoy the draft.
If you want to get in on the action, we want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter at FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd. Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.